I don't feel like I need to slow down or do anything that feel like, wow, I made it like that, because the Marshall Mathers LP was in front of me. And we were on the same team. So that was 23 million records. So, of course I was obligated to my D12, G Unit, you know what I'm saying? So I had to get them right. And I did a lot of stuff with them, work with them. Probably should have just focused on my own. There's room to do more, to showcase all our talent.
Melanin goddess that's before me, hello. On this episode of Another Act, I chat with rapper, actor, and producer 50 Cent about his pivot away from being a full-time musician, exactly why Hollywood has a hold on him, and of course, his new Starz series, BMF. As a woman originally from Detroit, I've been waiting for at least 15 years for someone to bring this story to life. I always thought film, but my God, it works so much better told in serial form. At what point did this come to you as a producer, and what was it about this story that worked so well for you?
It was brought to my attention from Barry and Stan from Grindstone at Lionsgate. I was like, yeah, no, it makes sense to do it. And we actually bought the rights when I was at Cheetah Vision. Like this is my film production company. I was on my little Avi Learner. I was doing what Avi does with the smaller film productions at that point. I had raised $200 million. We broke it into 10 pitches and sold domestic rights to Lionsgate. So I was connected to Barry and Stan and them. If they found something that come across them, they would bring it to me, and then I can go ahead and get involved and produce it. From there, I had the first group of writers that I had a writers team, Josh and Darnell, the two writers that I worked with for about 8 months. And I seen them hit a bump in the road where the notes was pushing them to making a show that they had a take on it that wasn't the same show that the network wanted to make. And I told them, I think we should just let it go. They should let it go, because when the show works, everybody's a success. The show writers, the showrunners, a success. The network's a success. Everybody's happy. When it doesn't work, just the writers fail. You see what I'm saying? And
I do.
Now they end up agreeing with me.
So hopefully we make him rich. But I ain't waiting.
Now, Randy was a part of the original writers room for Power. And as that was getting a little difficult for them to move forward in the right direction, I was able to pull Randy into the fold. And he was a Detroit native also.
Yeah.
And he knew so much about the time period. He was able to communicate with Meech and T, so he had a take on it that was stronger than what we had originally came up with. And then it was I knew it was organically the right feel for it, and we went into it. And when I got the first draft of what he had laid out, I was like, how does it start? When it starts with you figuring out how to have something to eat.
Yeah.
When it starts with your house is under foreclosure, and you're figuring out how to pay the rent for your parents. You see what I'm saying? Then you look at it and you see it from a different perspective, because it's survival at that point. And when we get into it, I looked around, I got one of the best casting agents in Hollywood to look around to find younger talent that could portray Meech in the early stages. And none of them matched up. Like, I was like, what are we gonna do? Like, because none of them looked like them or felt like that energy that, early version of them. And then I'm like, yo, I take Little Meech. I call him. I say, yo, I want you. Nah. He wanted to play me music. Like, I want you to do this.
Yes.
He's like, yo. And I called him right before any of that could actually happen and moved him to California. So he was in Los Angeles. I put him in acting school. So he was 3 days out of the week, he was training. So, 18 months. And then when it came time for the actual show, he showed up. Now, it didn't go all the way smooth, because he did put himself on tape for it. The network was like, nah, he can't do it. I'm like, why? He said, he can't act.
Yeah. I'm
like, what you mean he can't act? I had him like, I got progress reports for the last 18 months over the time period. And they looked, and they used the kind of casting agents that I use, and they came back around and they put him on tape again, and he got the job. And I'm really excited about it. Like I feel like he's like mine.
Yeah, he really holds his own in this series. 50, I can't say enough how well done BMF is. And I know, as you mentioned, your showrunner and co-creator is from Detroit. And I'm guessing that to me is probably why it feels like the most authentic piece of work I've seen from my city since maybe 8 Mile, honestly. But I think that future fans of the series, especially from back home, will really appreciate the nuances and the need to not over-explain Detroit the way I often see Hollywood do to the D. I know that you have friendships and work relationships with some people from the D, our boys D12, of course, and obviously Marshall. Did you connect with them at all on this, or did you draw from your own time spent in Detroit? Because it feels like a producer, quite frankly, came in and said, this needs to feel authentically Detroit, and it does.
Yeah, all the exteriors, because we spent a lot of time going over like we knew locations that we were going to shoot. Prior to, like, we had photo books of territories and areas that, like, we said, this is happening here. I think it was very important that you feel like you're in Detroit.
I'm a keep on rock. Keep on rock. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
Raising Kanan is excellent, and in a lot of ways, BMF reminds me of that series, largely, I think, because one thing that they share in common is that you stack that cast with stage actors. There's several Broadway alum that are working on both series, and to me, that's noticeable enough to feel important and maybe even intentional. Was that intentional?
Yeah, look, they are a little more intense. Like Russell Hornsby, McCole, like they like on that other level of the acting. It's not as tough to figure out the character and have the dialogue down to perform, but not necessarily like they can do things that like we can change the scene without changing the dialogue. In their performance alone, like because they have options of ways that they can convey it. And with the most talented actors, they're a little insecure because they have options, because they can do it different ways. They look to the director for guidance at points. They'll look to see if they're getting a nod or if you want them to change it in any way. They kind of set the tone. Look, I can go 2 hours, 3 hours of music and not drop a lot, right? But it's the same music. They've been preconditioned for it over years of time. So, like if you think about after Power Works, you see Snowfall, you see Empire, you see people that look like me and you in leading roles. Right? It pushes diversity forward until they see the show not need the characters that they had in the past, and they say, "Oh, we can do that all the time." And it's like it does because we hit the bullseye with Power, and it's because the culturally things are more graphic than network television can offer. I'm saying I'll take you to the candy shop. She's saying WAP. The female artist is saying what I'm supposed to say for shock value. Like it's that, but culturally, this is like where it registers as her independence and her ability. And why couldn't she say it? He could say it, right? So it's just a twist the lens. It's just from a different perspective, the way people see and feel about things right now. It's interesting,
I like that you used the word lens just now, because what I was going to say is that I'm really interested in your lens as a producer. What types of stories are you gravitating towards? Clearly, there's a connective tissue. You love telling these stories where the cities also and the neighborhoods also are characters and their Black families, struggling. We're seeing stories that happen after, the civil rights movement and kind of, the after effects of Black families trying to come up. But what is it that you're looking for as a producer when it comes to storytelling?
I'll look to make the shows different in perspective because of like look, BMF, when you would say comparisons to Raising Canaan, it is the period piece. That's part of comparisons because they both go back and one is in the 90s and one is in the 80s or early 80s. But if you look, there's a spiritual theme, there's religion in BMF that really was in their life.
Yeah.
So there's a point where Meech's decision to do what was at access, what was available, that had no requirements. Like wasn't like you gotta wait online for
So
a
now you a
job.
snitch? Look, a crew is like an assembly line. They got a whole lot of moving parts and a whole lot of players. But in order for us to win, everybody got to play their position.
This is the universal themes that I feel like that people connect with that watch the show, because there's a point, even like you see in the trailers, McCole says that the mom's love has that there's a point, a breaking point for everything, right? And there's the person's, your parents' perspective on you is one way. Like my grandmother, I never even cursed in front of her. Like I come in the house, I'm like, you know, like, and the church was mandatory until my grandfather wasn't going because they experienced a bad minister. And I'm the youngest, and I'm saying, I want to stay with my grandpa. And he was like, let him stay with me. It was 9 kids, so take the other 8 kids.
Yeah.
The church, let the baby stay with me. He wants to stay with me. But until then, it was actually mandatory for me to go. So there was no way around it. And there's now, if you looked at, that doesn't exist in Raising Canaan.
You have a great eye for storytelling, and there's clearly a synergy between being a lyricist and the work that you're doing behind Hollywood, behind the scenes in Hollywood. Tell me a little bit about that, because that feels very real.
The difference between storytelling and music versus storytelling in film and television is simplicity is the key to a lot of the magic moments. When you saying go 40, it's your birthday. It's not rocket science. The storytelling process for film and television, when you look at that, it's almost never right the first time.
No.
Even the most talented writer, I don't care how prolific the writer is, they've received notes. That means they wrote it and the network gave them something to go fix. They're gonna give them something to change because they don't know. I think my assessment of it is they don't know why they're being paid all of the big money if they're not doing anything. So they're gonna give you the references regardless. And because sometimes I'll look at it and go, this is dead right. Like personally with the writers, I've had them hold a version of the script to deliver something else. So when they got the notes, we came back and we fixed it to what I thought was the right thing from the beginning and then got it through.
Yeah. You know, I am already ready for like season 5 of BMF, you know, and that's the great thing I think about the series is that if you know this story and if you watch this series, by the time you get to the end, you know that the surface hasn't even been scratched yet. And there's so much more to tell. How far in advance have you all thought about where this can ultimately go? I mean, right now we're still in the 80s by the time you get to the end of it. And really Meech and T didn't hit the big time until like 2000. And so my mind is already exploding thinking about what 12 years of content before you get to them hitting the mother lode of where their empire goes, you know, actually takes them. So how far in advance have you guys started thinking about the story? Because like I said, I'm ready for season 5.
That's season 7.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
you're already at season 7.
That's kind of like built the periods and then is now filling in everything as we go to season 2. The ideas of when it gets certain things that they experience are implemented in the story, there's like kind of like broken down. There's an overall layout of those things to get to those points. It's so much to get to. Like these guys all over the place. St. Louis, Atlanta, California,
Mexico. You know, as I mentioned earlier, and as we talked about earlier, you obviously have a lot of connections to Detroit. I mean, I feel like every time I've seen you, with the exception of maybe one time, it's always been in the city of Detroit. What is going to be your measuring stick for the success of this show? You know, are you looking for, you know, a phone call from Denon or somebody to say you did it, you got it right? Like, what is it that's gonna communicate to you that you accomplish what you set out to do with this series?
Man, you know what? It'll be as good as the idea and the passion that we put into it. And M's always been at the roof of like what I looked at as the roof of what you can do. Like, so when I'm doing 13 million records on Get Rich or Die Trying, I don't feel like I need to slow down or do anything that feel like, wow, I made it like that, because the Marshall Mathers LP was in front of me. And we on the same team. So that was 23 million records. So I'm identifying with there's room to do more. You know, of course, I was obligated to my D12,
Yeah.
G Unit, you know what I'm saying? So I had to get them right. And I did a lot of stuff with them, work with them. Probably should have just focused on my own.
No, because we needed some of that G Unit music. Don't do it. Don't say that. Don't take it back. Don't take it back, 50.
Him, it's different. My relationship with him is different for real. Like it's like my grandmother. You don't know someone's can come late into your life and mean that much to it.
Yeah.
You know, and we didn't. I didn't have to stand over me because I was prepared for it. But he provided the opportunity I needed. I don't know, man. It's just the way I am. I'm like, you do something for me, trust me. I reciprocate that energy, and it doesn't need anything for him to say anything or to do anything. Like it's just he's the same way because over time he's heard me consistently convey that, and he'll go, "Yo, you know who I never have to worry about? It's 50 saying something negative about me. I don't care what it is." You know, and it's because I look and I understand when you're doing 23 million records, people want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody else fell in line, and what he wanted to do was provide the opportunity for me to work. And that's it. Like I wouldn't be here. Not probably, it wouldn't be here. There was points that people had made offers for us to be in movies together. We were supposed to play like two gangs on two different sides of the track. And
You and Marshall?
Yeah.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah, from $8 million.
Okay.
$8
Wow.
million was on the table for him to play in it. And then while when I bring it to him, like, yo, just read it. Tell me what you think. Just tell me what you think, right? When I came to see him to see if he wanted to do it, he was like, yo, I just think we should do something like Warriors. Like the old movie Warriors.
Oh, for real? Okay.
And I was like,
Interesting.
the
Yeah.
people $8 million, he didn't care about that. He was like, I think we should do something like Warriors, like just creatively where he was at and thought and the idea, we need to remake that, you know? And I'm like, okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna come back when I find that idea. But you know, he's not a person that moves on money either. You know, he got a lot of money, so it don't matter what you're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? They don't have the same significance because I've accomplished it, because I've already felt what that feeling is. Like the Mike Tyson's home, 55 bought the house, it was 55,000 square feet, 18 bedrooms, 37 bathrooms, all kind of space, nightclubs, billiards, full fitness gym, indoor racquetball, saunas and everything, recording studios, theaters, everything. And you still sleep on one bed. You know, and eventually when we partied in that, it was an amazing place in the beginning. 1,500 people, everybody.
Right.
Then when it slowed down and the music started, like you slow down and you go, man, these people got to go home. They got to go home. At the end of the day, you look at it and you go, that was great for that time period. And I think everyone needs to feel that.
Because you're so ingrained in this world of Hollywood and bringing all of these series and projects to life, and the music that we get from you is in the intro of these series, but are you going to get back to the music, or is really the place that you're in right now in creation and production where you kind of want to stay for a little bit?
Look, I still have passion for music. That's why I go find what I feel like is the right thing for the intro every time. And then in between time, but look, BMF is a different project because of culturally what it is. It's more involvement. It's more a more connective energy to people that are in music culture. So they should expect the soundtrack from it.
Well, before I let you go, can I hear that phrase that you really are about to make famous? Because everybody is about to hear it. What up, though? I said, if you take a shot every time somebody says it in BMF, you will be shit-faced inside of 8 minutes because that's how we talk in the D. And I know you say it now too. So let me hear it, 50.
What up, though?
What up, though?
Yeah. Randy, that was one of the things that Randy pinpointed, that he knew that lingo.
But now you're giving us a new person, a new visual of what that looks like in Meech and of course in T. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, thank you so much for taking some time out to chat with me today. Always great to talk to you. I do appreciate it.
Pleasure.